Chloe was born on Lee Street, but grew up on Liberty Street. Yet she never moved, see? My niece was 3, so she was not an active part of the city's initiative to change the street names of Confederate generals and leaders. We stood outside the state capitol and stared at the huge Confederate monument. It was impressive to my 20 or so first and second generation Mexican-American students who were so excited to be out of their barrio and what they saw as a more significant place. Wow, they thought, that is something. And it was something, which was better than the nothing of their own story that they would not find in the 4 stories of the impeccably designed State History Museum. All that glass, all that class. And they will certainly remember the Alamo, those 40 or so young elementary-aged African-American students who stood practically bouncing with enthusiasm at the front of the roped-off section of the display as the docent proudly went through the play in his head about bravery, courage, and what was that phrase? Against all odds. Would it have been odd for Robert E. Lee to know that there were streets and monuments and flags celebrating his surrender? I believe Lee honorably surrendered to liberty and held no expectations of signpostings in his name. But all the same, he knew he'd never be erased from history, tagged by Lincoln himself, but choosing state over country, a man of his time. And I thought it was time to ask my young Latino crew if they could find a clue of their past as we passed display after display of the great Texas way of land conquering and oil and Friday night lights and rockets from NASA that shot out of sight, and of settlers who settled for nothing and fought for their manifest destiny. But now it was time for me to raise my hand and ask the poor young man, this weekend reenactor who couldn't wait for his raccoon hat to come in the box that smiles. Yes, sir, your question. Just curious, is there a part in this presentation where you're going to mention to these impressionable young minds that these men who fought and died, who give this story so much pride, who were undeniably committed and displayed such bravery, actually broke the rules and extended slavery? And now 50 pairs of bright young eyes were fixed on me. Sir, you must hold all further questions until the end. Just tell the truth and don't defend. They were still brave and committed, but make sure the truth is not omitted. Like the over 39% of this state's population, the largest growing group in this evolving nation, who can't find what floor they're on, who can't seem to find their statues or their heroes, who need to be reminded that they didn't cross a line, did they? A border crossed them again and again. And that their contributions are worth statues too. And these institutions must begin to view them for their survival, not their arrival. Now, some argue that General Robert E. Lee will be erased from Chloe's history, and that is simply untrue. He will always be Lincoln's first choice, who was a man of conviction. So much so, I believe that he would prefer Liberty Street to follow Chloe's name on every form and application she writes going forward. Change is hard. The truth is hard. The story is hardly done being told, and the decision of revision, when it honors the truth, is a battle worth fighting against all odds. Peace.